because talking to you guys kind of takes quite a bit of concentration, so I know that staring at a bunch of empty rooms is not very entertaining, so I'll try and think of something to liven it up. Other than actual work. But, you know. Dancing girls? Okay.
Every rooftop talk, every stolen kiss, every late night walk, every secret wish, every second chance, every time we dance underneath the light of street lamp.
How often did people complain about Dio? I think complain is a harsh word, but quite a few. Well, Johnny, just look into your memory and you'll see overpowered monks. Because that's what they were. Monks were fairly weak to level up at first, but once they reached a certain point, their martial arts skill was pretty strong. So, right, yeah. I mean, pain was kind of the only weakness left, as Vassi said. Yeah, it kind of brings up the topic of, you know, were mobs and players just on two totally different planes, which they were, you know, to the point where it shouldn't be that way. So, should it have been that, you know, skills interacted differently and that monsters actually hit monks, you know, for various reasons. So, I'm sure that, you know, you guys will feel some differences, but they'll make the most sense that we can gather in the community, basically, for each class that you know, stood out as being a little too strong, or vice versa. Yeah, no, that's true. But I think that they call it no, I'm almost forgetting what it's called, but I'm pretty sure it's called like a saddle point, where on a graph, if you look at kind of the scaling of, in this example, say martial arts versus physical monster accuracy and damage, then you'd see an obvious flaw in the system, and at a certain point, at a certain level, you know, you'd become, you know, way more godly than you were before. So things like that will be inherent or inherently different and or fixed in Darkness Rises, because the code itself will be different and, you know, it'll be built fresh. So that's true. I think really all they could do at one point was just increase hit points on mobs so that you had to fight them longer and have more chance of dying. Does that sound right? Have we talked at all about backstab and weapon types? Yeah, we have, and Crows, you know, was kind of picking my brain a little bit, and I think he sort of touched the subject tonight. Right. I don't have like on file, you know, a discussion and like a clear thought out thing that we've, you know, decided on. I think at this point his main concern is developing algorithms for certain attacks and how they, you know, that's why we asked about the armor situation. Yeah, and it's tough, like, you know, things like thrust, it's difficult in general, I feel, because in any game there's only so many variations they can do for damage dealing and damage mitigating items, and so to the point where players will only gravitate towards one or two or three choices. A good example is Counter-Strike, especially the original one. We did a study in game design school where you know, what are the most used guns? And if you look at the pool of guns, there's, at that time, there was like, I don't know, there's way more types, I'll give you that, than there were for weapon types in DFC. But then there were even more individual guns of each type. So players gravitated only towards like 7 guns in the entire game. That was always the same. They always picked, you know, the Desert Eagle, you always picked a certain sniper rifle, you always picked our RPG or whatever. Any other variation is only there to serve as what not to use, basically. So thrust is kind of that, that lame duck, if you will. Right. Yeah. No, definitely. One-handers should. I always, you know, wondered why daggers weren't more of a thing. You know, like that's their primary use is for stabbing. You know, but it was always about blades. You know, like 3 times the size of a dagger would probably look like. It'd be cool to have different armor types have bonuses to different types of weapons. That's true. I think that's what they tried to do. And yeah. That's true. The critical hits. So it'll definitely reflect kind of all of our desires a little bit, but mainly to keep it fair. So we'll have some cool little nuances, but we're basically cleaning up the ideology and the theory crafting of DFC, and I think that the end result will be really nice to look at. A little bit refreshing. Okay, so I think for the next 19 minutes I'm just gonna wander around some areas. Room description writing is a very concentrated art form, so I don't think I'm gonna get much done on streams. Loved and hated stat rolling, yeah. I'd hope that we can keep that for, you know, for that feeling for everybody. Alright, Eric, have a good night, brother. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks, Leo. Appreciate it. Have a good night, sir. Yeah, we did talk about that a little bit with Vassi earlier in the stream, and you know, he definitely made the kind of the personal choice to go the allocation route with Syrah, and it was an interesting, you know, approach, and it has its, you know, has its pluses, but I think, you know, I think I just have a different preference than he does, and I think that I would rather see rolling, but maybe a little easier. And if I'm not mistaken, I think 8 was the lowest you could get in a stat, and I think that we could increase that to 9 or 10 maybe, and I think that would make a big difference, because I mean, obviously 8 is terrible, but it also gives you like a different experience. So if you had 20s in strength and agility for a warrior and a decent dex stat, and you had 8s everywhere else, you'd probably take those stats. So you know, there's a lot to consider there. But yeah, like I enjoyed rolling, and I appreciated rolling. I think that's the key word. I appreciated it. I would rather have the discrepancies and the variations so that players actually have weaknesses, or the players themselves have weaknesses and can't, you know, Now